Morning, everyone. Decided, kind of on a whim, that I'm going to try and capture a little bit of my journey to get back in shape. So just super quick catch up in context. Those who know me will know I rode in college, and I was pretty active in my 20s, even into my early 30s. Then kids came along, work came along, life got busy. And the last few years, obviously the pandemic was thrown in there as well, but the last few years have been quite sedentary. And I realized, it took me actually a couple years to realize that, and my mental health during that time wasn't great, but it took me a couple of years to kind of put two and two together and really realize that not having regular intense exercise, I know it sounds stupidly obvious saying it now, but not exercising regularly, not doing intense exercise regularly in my case, really caused my mental health to suffer more than it already was. And so decided a few months ago to really make a concerted effort to get back in shape. I'm going to be 40 next year, and so over my last few annual physicals, my doctor, who I've been seeing for almost 20 years now, had been telling me, hey, you might want to take a look at these charts. My blood pressure, cholesterol, everything was sort of going up and to the right, and so really decided that, okay, by the time I turn 40, I need to be healthier, not just for myself, but for Ian, for the kids. And so, yeah, a few months ago, started running again. And, I'd done a lot of running probably 10, 12 years ago. So fortunately, my body kind of remembers what to do. Granted, it was a lot slower. And then I also started to get back on the rowing machine, or the erg, as the rowers call it. And so I made the decision a couple months ago, once I'd gotten a few rows back under my belt, to think about signing up for a competition, just to give me a goal to shoot for. And so I have signed up for an indoor rowing race in early February. It's a 2-kilometer race, which is the standard distance that on water races are. We almost always race 2K. So I've got that coming up in a little over a month. I have a training plan that I am loosely following to get me there. I've been actually back on the rower now 3-4 times a week for about 2 months. So been putting in the work, seeing good results, lost about 10-12 pounds, actually eating better, feeling a lot better, more energy. So far so good. I'll jump into more details on the training plan maybe in a subsequent video. But anyways, this is just a little bit of a preamble. But today we've got a, what's the workout today? 5 by 1,500 meters with 5 minutes rest. So we're going to do 1,500 meter pieces on the rower, which you'll see I'm actually sitting on right now. 1,500 meter pieces with 5 minutes rest. We'll get 5 of those in. I have a target pace in mind. I'll explain a little bit more about how this stuff works for those of you who maybe aren't very familiar with rowing, but essentially this is a kind of longer endurance interval workout. It's not sprinting, but it's also not long, sort of easy paced cardio. It's sort of somewhere in between. So anyways, you can see we've got this set up at home here. How much can you actually see? We've got the rower. I'll have something on the TV to distract me in the background. Christmas tree is still up. And we got the rower parked right here with the mat underneath so that I don't destroy, my sweat doesn't destroy the rug. I sweat a lot. But then we also have our, of course, we got hydration, got some music, rocking the headphones. All right, let's get this work in. All right, so just finished our warm-up, which as you can see, I'm already sweaty, but that's the goal. Especially with, I would say more moderate to high intensity workouts. You don't really want to be starting them ice cold. The body definitely needs to be sufficiently warmed up, especially as you get older. So just did 2,000 meters, about 8 minutes. Nice and warmed up, loosened up. In my case, I have really tight hips and very poor hip mobility. So it takes me that long to actually get the mobility that I want. But anyways, so now I've got the fans on, got one behind me, a floor fan. And part of the reason why I set up here in the family room is that we have this gigantic overhead fan as well. So as far as staying cool, yeah, this setup is great. Definitely in the summers when it can be over 100 degrees outside. Gotta stay in here. So yeah, we'll get the workout started. Talk to you guys when we're done.
A few moments later. A few moments later.
Okay, workout done. Needed a few minutes to compose myself before turning the video back on, but yeah, workout was done. So what was that, 5 by 1,500 meters with 5 minutes rest in between. Let's see what we got. So let's see. I had a target split in mind, which, whoops, hang on a second. Why is this not working? There we go. Which I was actually pretty pleased. I was just a little bit faster than my target pace. So for those of you who are undoctrinated, where it says 144, that's the pace per 500 meters. Some other numbers on there. At the very right is your strokes per minute, so 28 in my case. Meters, so total distance rode is there, and then the time per interval. So all things considered, pretty pleased with that. My goal was a 1 minute 146 per 500 meters, being able to hold that consistently across all 5 pieces. I ended up averaging a 144.5, but perhaps more importantly, I was able to stay very consistent across all 5 pieces. So I didn't die on the 4th and 5th interval, which if you don't pace yourself correctly in the first couple, not pacing yourself correctly the first couple can really make the last couple painful. So it's a little bit of guesswork, but in any case, all right, enough rowing jargon. So yeah, pretty happy with that workout. I think I've learned a couple, I think, very important lessons over the last 2 to 3 months of training. And there's a part of me, I've had this thought often over the last few months, which is I wish I had the knowledge I do now back when I was 20, rowing in college in peak physical condition, because I think now, and even, you know, in my 30s when I would work out, I've taken a much smarter approach to training. In looking back on it in college, even though I went to, at the time, what was a top tier collegiate rowing program, I don't think we really trained smart. And by that I mean, I don't recall really ever doing a workout where we weren't asked to go, pardon my expression, balls to the wall. Every practice, every workout was hard. And looking back on it, and you know, mind you, we had 2 days, several days a week, so we were practicing 9 times a week typically, with Sunday being a rest day, full rest day. So I think many of us were likely overtrained, and when you couple that with schoolwork, not really sleeping all that great, we probably weren't performing at our best. And so this is something I think I've only realized, you know, again, in the last year or so. And part of me wishes, man, if I only had the knowledge and I could apply the approach to training that I'm taking now, if I could have done that 20 years ago, who knows how fast I could have been. But, you know, can't think about that too much. Better late than never. So anyways, that's one of the lessons, one of the realizations I've had. I think second is really needing to, in a way, check my ego. And I think any of us who've played relatively high level sports when we were younger can probably relate to this, where as you get older, you know, certainly being 20 years removed, in my case, almost 20 years removed from college rowing, you remember all your peak times, how fast you were, right? So I remember all my PBs, personal bests on the rowing machine. You know, I remember what I was capable of. And it's really hard to put yourself in the headspace, or I have found it, at first it was challenging to put myself in a headspace where I could toil away on the machine, pulling, you know, going at a speed that, or working hard to produce a speed that back in college would have been very, very easy. And so having to reset my expectations, not necessarily lower in a sense, because I do expect a lot from myself, but just being realistic and not setting myself up for disappointment and failure. And just knowing that obviously the results aren't going to come overnight. And if anything, it's going to take much longer for the results to come, because I am older now. My body will not recover as quickly as it did. I simply can't train. I can't put in the volume of training now, you know, that I did when I was in college. I've got lots of other you know, wonderful things pulling from my time. I have to be realistic in the goals I set for myself. So anyways, enough of me rambling. Again, really glad I got the work in today. I'm not going to film every workout I do because you would be bored to tears. A lot of the work I'm doing now is just slower, steady state. Sorry, by steady state, I mean relatively low intensity, moderate heart rate, just really building my aerobic base so that I'm not too tired when it comes to doing the more intense workouts like the one I did today. So now trying to really make sure that on those longer, lower intensity days, I stay disciplined about keeping my heart rate within a certain zone so that I have energy, I have sufficient energy for the harder workouts. So anyways, I may film a workout here or there when I'm maybe shooting for a new, I'm gonna say personal best, because my personal bests were all in college. I will never come close to those numbers again, but I'm gonna say new personal bests. When I shoot for those, I may turn the camera on. But oh, and for any rowers who are watching this, the program I would say loosely, well, mostly trying to follow, it's called the Pete Plan. I actually found out about it through Reddit. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of time and volume required, but so that's why I say I'm mostly following it, because you know, sometimes things happen. You have to miss a day, but I don't beat myself up about it too much. I just pick things back up the next day and make sure that I keep the train going. So anyways, that's it for today. Gotta go towel off. Gotta go wipe down the erg, wring out my shirt, and get going with the rest of my day. I would just want to say, whatever your goal is, whether it's on the rowing machine, you're trying to break 7 minutes for 2K, maybe you're trying to run a sub 1 hour 10K, or maybe your goal is just to sit on the rower for 20 minutes without stopping. You know, who cares what the split is? Who cares what your pace is? Just 20 minutes without stopping. Whatever your goal is, you know, keep chasing. Not every day is going to be a great day. Some days are going to feel sluggish. Doesn't mean there's anything you did wrong. You might have just had a bad night's sleep. Maybe you're stressed out about something else. Some days are just going to be like that. But some days will be great. And if you keep putting in the work and stay consistent, you'll have more of those days. So yeah, keep chasing, everyone. Peace.